8:05, let's call the meeting to order. Michelle, will you do the sunshine name?
Let the record show that adequate notice of this meeting of the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Keyport being held Tuesday, May 21st, 2024, has been provided by the meeting notice which has been sent to the Asbury Park Press and the Star Ledger, posted on the bulletin boards and filed with Borough Clerk as required by the Open Public Meetings Act.
Thank you. Will you do the roll call, please?
Councilmember Brady.
Here.
Councilmember Gross.
Here.
Councilmember McNamara.
Here.
Councilmember Pepperoni.
Here.
Councilmember Riley.
Here.
Council President Vecchio.
Here.
And Mayor Arania.
Here.
Thank
Will
you.
everybody join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. We're going to do a proclamation. This proclamation is actually going to be given to the American Legion on Memorial Day. But I figured it would be nice to do it in here, and if there's any veterans, and I'd also like to say, thank you for your service. National Memorial Day, May 27, 2024. Whereas the Borough of Keyport holds in the highest esteem the brave men and women who have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to our nation. Whereas National Memorial Day is a solemn occasion for all Americans to pause and reflect upon the profound sacrifices of our fallen heroes, whose courage and devotion have safeguarded the freedoms we cherish. Whereas throughout the history, the Borough of Keyport has been deeply intertwined with the fabric of our nation's defense, with generations of Keyport citizens answering the call of duty with honor, valor, and selflessness. Whereas on this hallowed day, we gathered as a community to honor the memory of those who laid down their lives in defense of our great nation, ensuring that their sacrifices are never forgotten. Whereas we express our deepest gratitude to the families of our fallen heroes, whose strength and resilience serve as a testament to the enduring spirit of our nation. Now, therefore, I, Rose Ranio, on behalf of the Borough of Keyport, do hereby proclaim that we solemnly observe National Memorial Day, May 27, 2024, honoring the courageous men and women who have given their lives in service to the United States of America. As the Mayor of the Borough of Keyport, I also call upon the citizens, government agencies, public-private institutions, businesses, and schools in the Borough of Keyport to join in commemorative activities and ceremonies, both public and private, as we honor the memory of our nation's heroes. And I just wanted to let everybody know that every year the American Legion does go around to the various cemeteries, and it is a beautiful tradition, and then they end up at the waterfront, where they pass out a wreath that floats in the water. So I think it's a beautiful ceremony, and it would be nice to have people out. Okay. Committee reports. Councilmember Brady.
For the Environmental Commission, King University Sustainability and Environmental Studies Capstone Project was presented. They cataloged current plant life at Cedar Street, categorized it as native or invasive, and outlined a removal plan for each invasive species. Using Sandy Hook, the Bradley Beach Maritime Forest, and Caddis Island as reference sites, they laid out a plan for revegetation of native species to be done contemporaneously with the removal of the invasive to prevent erosion. They identified edible and foragable plants, the beach plum, beach rose, and prickly pear, and suggested educational signage to display in the area. And finally, they provided a detailed and extensive list of grants, permits, regulations, and licensing. They also created a QR code that links to a website with an interactive map of the area for those visiting to assess and learn more. We were very impressed and appreciative of their work and hope to continue to work with a few of the students in the future. Our next meeting is Monday, June 24th at 8 p.m. right here in Borough Hall. We're not having a May meeting as it would have fallen on Memorial Day. For recreation, we had an abbreviated meeting this month and discussed the steps we needed to take to hold and share a date for Keyport Day at the Lakewood Blue Claws. We're currently scheduling Saturday, August 17th, and ticket information will be shared soon. We also discussed graduating candidates for the Recreation Award. We had a table at this past weekend's I Love Keyport Day, and we're able to chat with many visitors while handing out toys and activities for the kids. The registration information, if you'd like to be on the borough list for the townwide yard sale, is currently available. You can find it on the Keyport Facebook page. That's going to be held June 8th and 9th. And the next event we'll be at is the Senior Prom tomorrow night. And the much anticipated Food Truck Festival is this Saturday, the 25th, from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. It costs $5 for an all-day wristband. We have arranged additional parking thanks to the Town and Country, and we'll have shuttle bus running from the lot to the event until 8:15 at night. And as a reminder, both groups are always looking for volunteers.
Okay. Councilmember Gross.
Okay, so for public works, there's some basic infrastructure maintenance, including repairing potholes, sewer lines, water service disruptions and repairs, including the damaged waterfront railings and storm drain cleaning. Also activities include mulching, power washing, and playground construction in all parks. Also manage logistics for events like I Love Keyport, including the setup and tear down, and introduce new trash and recycling receptacles for public works. Also address some beach debris, street sweeping and center replacements, and building maintenance for the municipal buildings, mandatory safety training, and routine tasks like water meter reading and metal fine. And for the KBBC, we have ribbon cuttings for Primo, Any Way You Want It, Smoky Dog Cafe, and Brianna Sizzle. I Love Keyport Day was a success, designation from 20 restaurants, and a variety of volunteer-led activities. We're also excited for this weekend, Saturday, May 25th, for the Keyport Food Truck and Music Festival. We have Woodstock coming up on June 6th, and Keyport Car Show on June 27th.
Okay. Thank you. Councilmember McNamara.
This will probably be my briefest committee report. Finance and grants, I'm not going to go into anything because we have the budget on for today, so I'll leave that till then. Cannabis, Councilmember Rose already mentioned Primo opened, so they had their soft opening at the end of April, and they had their grand opening, and we had the ribbon cutting on Saturday. Green Team, excuse me, all members attended the Sustainable Jersey Summit held at Bellworks, and so we'll be debriefing tomorrow at our meeting. Everybody's welcome. Our meetings are open to the public, and that's it for me.
Thank you. Councilmember Pepperoni.
Thank you. For Treasurer's report for Health Department, we collected $2,528. For Union Beach's Registrar's report, we collected $152. For the Construction Department for the month, this is the highlights that we have. On 4/24, there was a partial wall collapse at 29 West Front. On 4/25, we borough officials had a meeting with involved parties, property owners, to discuss what happened and the game plan going forward. We understand that the owner of 29 West Front Street had their engineer on site and they are waiting for a report. On 5/9, OSHA was on site to do an inspection at 31 West Front Street. On 5/15, Regulatory Affairs was in our office to look at all the paperwork associated with all three properties. They found no issues with our paperwork. All prior approvals were in construction folders, all engineer, architect reports, inspections, logs, plans, etc. That's for that. And for the planning board, we've been working on the parking at the Yacht Club for the last couple meetings, so we're still waiting to finish that up. That's it for me.
Thank you. Councilmember Riley.
Thank you, Mayor. The first aid. So far this year, they've had 592 runs, and this week is actually EMS week. So as always, we want to thank our EMS volunteers for their dedication to our community and their selfless service. And police. Okay, so far this year, we've had 4,907 calls. There have been some major cases. Operation Take Back brought in 43 pounds of unwanted medications, which was turned over to the DEA. An ongoing investigation of Lucky 7 convenience store on Broad Street for selling vape products to minors resulted in over $10,000 untaxed, unlicensed products seized by the Keyport PD's detectives and Division of Taxation. specifically for selling untaxed flavored vapes, CBD, THC, and Delta-8 products. The Keyport Police Department recently assisted the Freehold Borough Police in an ongoing investigation regarding kidnapping. Both suspects resided in Keyport. This investigation resulted in the arrest of both suspects who were charged with the following crimes: kidnapping in the first degree, aggravated assault in the second degree, aggravated assault in the third degree. In 1962, President Kennedy proclaimed May 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day and the calendar week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. Established by a joint resolution of Congress in 1962, National Police Week pays special recognition to those law enforcement officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty for the safety and protection of others. National Police Week is a collaborative effort of many organizations dedicated to honoring America's law enforcement community. National Police Week offers honor, remembrance, and peer support while allowing law enforcement, survivors, and citizens to gather and pay homage to those who gave their lives in the line of duty. LEAD finishes this week with graduation coming the first week of June. Detective Quirk completed shotgun and patrol rifle armored training. Officer Aumack received behavioral threat assessment training. This training focuses on identifying and managing potential threats related to targeted violence. On May 15th, Keyport Police Department attended the Monmouth County Sheriff's Office Intel Center Program demonstration. Sheriff Golden will provide Keyport Police Department access to this resource. Monmouth County Sheriff's Department will send officers to each department that will participate to train the department on how to properly utilize this program. And of course, we want to thank Chief Torres and all Keyport Police for what they do, because last week was police week, not this week. And I did not hear back from the fire department, so I don't have anything to report from them.
Thank you. Council President Beckia.
Thank you, Mayor. For MPP, there are two resolutions on the agenda for tonight, which we are hoping to pass without issue. They are concerning Beach Park. One is approving the purchase of the playground equipment, and one is to approve the surfacing there. They are items that need to be purchased in advance so that they are here once the project starts, and we are currently still looking at late summer, early fall for that to happen. For Harbor Commission, the replacement railing was installed a week or two ago, and the install of the floating ramp is looking to be done tomorrow. We are actually making some progress in finding someone to dredge the boat ramp. We went from no takers to possibly 2, so between now and the end of winter flounder spawning season, we are hoping to have one secured and to move forward with that. That's all I have there.
Great, thank you. Okay, for myself, I attended the Running and Winning Workshop in Monmouth Regional High School with other elected women officials throughout Monmouth County on May 7th. I had the pleasure of speaking with several groups of young women that had an interest in continuing after high school to run for an elected office or Board of Education. I also attended a meeting with Middletown to discuss a shared service with our courts. Mayor Tony Perry, Tony Mercantanti, Kim Humphrey, Chief Torres, Captain Firm, and Kate GFO, Municipal Court Administrator, and Chief Weber. They were all receptive and excited of the partnership. The details of the agreements and logistics are being worked on, and as soon as we have more information, I'll let you know. We are looking to see if we can do a July 1st start date. Juneteenth Committee. We've confirmed our Juneteenth will take place on June 15th at 11 o'clock to 12:30 at the waterfront. We're welcoming all to join us. We will have it at the waterfront next to the gazebo, and the reason that we're going to have it there is last year we planted a tree in honor of Juneteenth, and we're actually going to put the plaque underneath it. May 23rd is Red, White, and Blue Day. GI Go Fund, a New Jersey-based nonprofit dedicated to support veterans and their families. They recognize Red, White, and Blue Day to pay tribute to sacrifices made of our valiant service members. Our borough employees are participating, where each borough employee contributes $5 to aid a veteran in need, and everyone shows their colors of wearing red, white, and blue. The library, I was not able to attend due to a family member's passing. Okay, I have the NPP floodgates. I know that this has been an issue. Everybody has asked why can't we just remove the floodgates? They're not working. It was purchased through a grant. The agreement states that for 5 years we have to have the gates available for inspection and review. We also do not have a place to store them at this time. So we're going to leave them up until we're able to figure out what we can do with these. The planning board letter, I'm going to be working with Council President Vecchio on the last piece. Mike, I know that, I don't know where Mike is.
He's here, he's
Okay, so I know that this is always on his top 6 list. That's one that we're hoping to knock off of your list. The post office property, we're awaiting the budget adoption to begin a study process. The borough attorney is preparing a letter to send to the leasing. Utility pole cleanup, it's still the same. We continue to call, but we urge all of our residents to also call if they see something. Air Marine landfill cleanup, we have nothing at this time. The last we had was with the NJDEP, so as soon as we have more information, we'll be able to share it with you. The Henry Hudson Trail cleanup, we've been following up with Monmouth County for clearing of the vegetation from the existing ditches to improve the drainage along the trail. We'll continue to monitor, but they have started some of the cleanup. Some of the areas of concerns are private property where the homeowners chose to not take action for the Parks Department of the county. The county is continuing the cleanup, and Kim and Bill will monitor them. Fire hydrant update. West Front and Washington have new fire hydrants. I don't know if anybody has seen them. Maple Place and Highway 35, new fire hydrant was replaced. Broad Street hydrant, pending replacement, estimated time within the next few weeks. Madison Street hydrant, we're still working on, but it's being, it's a claim, actually an insurance claim, because it was hit by a truck. So we're actually down to 4 hydrants that are out now. Monmouth County update, we're waiting a meeting with county to dredge the boat ramp. Multiple requests are pending. There's possibility, if that falls through, that we'll do a shared service with Neptune, and Kim will keep us informed of that. Crosswalks across Maple Place at the crossings of Division and Osborne. Monmouth County Park Service has a NJDOT TAP grant for pedestrian safety improvement, which will include a pedestrian activated flashing beacon at the nearby Maple Church crossing. That's what I have on that. I wanted to read part of DPW because there's many potholes that are, occurred over the winter. So we are starting to work on them, and it should be during the month of June. We have Jackson Street and Division Street. We have Atlantic Street by Keyport First Aid Building. Atlantic Street by Jackson Street, Atlantic Street by Liberty Firehouse, 2nd Street by Lincoln Firehouse, 2nd and Green Grove, 2nd and Waverly, Raritan Street off Broadway, Van Dorn and Maple Place intersection, Hall Place, Kearney Street and Walling Terrace, Walnut and Locust Street, Maple Place by Manchester. So that's where we're starting. And that's all I have. Okay. Before we go into public comment, is there any questions or anything that you want to pull or table from the consent agenda by the governing body?
Does this include payment of bills?
Yes.
Can we pull from, what day is this? 5/21/24?
R 24-166.
Yes. Yes.
Right. But you don't want to pull the whole?
No, just one item. Do I give the number?
Yeah.
Is this the 24 number? 24-00458.
That's the Board of Fire Commission District 1.
Yes.
Okay, for 3,000.
Mhm.
Okay, do we have a motion to
Motion.
remove that?
Okay.
All in favor? Oh, that's, Michelle, sorry. Roll call.
Councilmember Brady?
Yes.
Councilmember Gross?
Yes.
Councilmember McNamara?
Yes.
Councilmember Tamburoni?
Yes.
Councilmember Riley?
Yes.
And Council President Vecchio?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other questions from the governing body or anything that needs to be tabled or closed?
Yeah, on the abatements,
What number?
174. I request that we pull that until we can check with construction to see if those were, what kind of permits were issued for that, based on feedback from the tax assessor.
Do we have a motion to pull that, we're tabling it? You're tabling it?
Well,
Motion to table?
yeah,
Okay. So a motion to table R 2024-174.
Second.
Michelle?
Councilmember Brady?
Yes.
Councilmember Gross?
Yes.
Councilmember McNamara?
yes.
Councilmember Pepperoni?
Yes.
Councilmember Riley?
Yes.
And Council President Vecchio?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any others? Okay. Do you have a motion to open to the public?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody?
Mike, you not going? Mike, do you want to go?
No, go ahead first.
Robert Bergen, 16 Green Grove Avenue. I just happened to notice tonight is you have about 11 new tax abatements, 5-year tax abatements. Most of them are for Harbor View, and the number ones are for other properties. You just voted on one. My question was, I was here a couple of meetings ago, and I thought the consensus was we realized we shouldn't be granting these abatements in a real estate boom for single-family new homes that are being sold. And I think we talked about the fact that if you approve them for all the Harbor View properties, you're probably close to $300,000 in abatements you're giving over 5 years. So I'm assuming, I haven't had a chance to look at them tonight, so I assume you haven't reduced the time period in any of these, and you haven't reduced the amount. So my first assumption is you're granting the full abatements for 5 years on all the properties. I thought the consensus was is that we shouldn't be doing that, so I'm thinking, well, maybe if you didn't reduce them at all or make some changes to them, then maybe the idea is that you feel obligated now to grant it to other property owners because we've granted them to some of the other property owners prior to that. One of the things I talked about at that meeting is now would be the time to introduce an ordinance that says a developer shouldn't be able to advertise in any forum these tax abatements until you all have a chance to vote on them, so now you're not in a position to feel obligated to vote on new ones. So you haven't introduced an ordinance to do that. You have about 11 of them on tonight, so $14,000, $15,000 a piece. 11 of them, you can calculate the numbers on top of what you've done for the others, plus your budget is tonight. So I'm just trying to figure out, has there been a change in the view of the council who determines how these get listed on the agenda? And let me start with the first thing. Did we reduce the time period at all from 5 years to less than 5 years?
We're actually going to sunset the ordinance. We were, at the last workshop, we decided to sunset it. I think it was the last of June.
June 30th.
Right, June 30th. We're going to sunset that and then revisit what we want it to do.
So tonight you're going to grant another 10, right?
What's that?
So tonight you're going to grant these 11,
Yeah, we
and
can
then
sunset.
sunset the ordinance. Have you given any consideration to advertise so developers now like Manchester and that developer who's presently advertising that there's a tax abatement available on those properties to say that they can't do that until you all have approved the ordinance, approved the tax abatement first?
And we brought that up also at our workshop meeting because it is something that they should know about.
So the choice is you're just going to eliminate the ordinance altogether, not change it?
We're probably going to sunset that one and redo a new ordinance.
Okay, so tonight's the budget hearing and you're going to approve all these 11 after the last meeting. Is that pretty clear? That's what we're doing? Or at least the council's going to vote on it tonight. So that's pretty- So there hasn't been any change in the ordinance. We're approving, there's a vote to approve all those tax abatements, and we're talking about $150,000 maybe, here or there, give or take. Okay, thank you.
George?
George Wallinger for Second Street. To follow what Mr. Bergman was just talking about, what is the process to give a tax abatement?
Kim, do you want to read on that?
Yeah, sure. Well, we follow the ordinance. They have 30 days to do an application after the CO goes to the assessor. There is not a committee that votes on it or weighs the amount or time period, and it goes before mayor and council to vote on.
Are you guys aware on the ones you're approving tonight, no COs have been issued in the relationship to the Rabbit Cove?
My understanding, George,
Yes,
from
ma'am.
speaking to the tax assessor, is that it can be filed at the point of substantial completion. They don't need the CO.
They don't need the CO? Right now, the developer's getting all these tax abatements. Do you guys think that's proper?
That was part of our conversation.
That's part of the workshop that we had last week, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, no, I was here for that meeting also. But how fair is it that somebody get a C of O and then get the abatement, and this guy's not getting any C of Os at all, as it stands right now? Somebody?
Well, we don't have to answer, George, you know that.
What the hell's the sense of coming up asking a question?
Well, it's really a council meeting where we're conducting council business. We understand that you have comments, and that's why you came up for a comment. Now, when we go back
But what
to-
homework did you guys do in preparing for this? You're voting on these tonight.
Next.
Robert Burke at 16 Greengrove Avenue, since it's pretty clear that's there, I'd make a recommendation that the council or some members of the council make a motion to table these all tonight, because we've already had
Mr.
some
Bergen, can you
discussion.
come up so that they can hear you?
I think everyone can hear me, but so just to understand something, I think maybe somebody should make a motion to table all of these 11 tax abatements. You've already discussed them at a council meeting, you obviously have problems with them, and wait till after you make a determination as to whether you want to grant them going forward for the full 5 years, for the full 30%, for the full 14, 15,000 over 5 years that you want to do, and then you can make a determination. But the problem is, if you do these now, how are you going to tell all the other people in these projects going forward? And now I have one by me in Manchester, which is not just 26 units, I think it's 68 units. You need to stop it in the beginning because you're in the height of a booming real estate market and you're crowding in and changing the character of our existing residential neighborhoods.
Thank you. I'm going to ask when anyone is coming up, please be sure to come to the center. And if you have questions, it is 5 minutes per person. It's not 5 minutes, keep coming up every few minutes to make 5 minutes again. So I'm going to please ask everybody, have all your questions together, come up and ask the question. Your comment, actually, it's not even questions. All right? Anybody? Mr. Lane? Mike?
Mike Lane, 51 First Street, Keyport. Regarding the tax abatement, at the workshop meeting, there was very strong input that the tax abatements should only be given to sites where existing homes are upgraded. And when I moved to Keyport 25 years, 30 years ago, I did extensive reservation on my home, and I got a tax abatement for 5 years. And so this is an excellent program. And one of the resolutions that you decided to table, which was for First Street, what is it? 121st. That's a prime example of a old building that's been completely rehabbed. And it should get a tax abatement.
That's not how the paperwork was submitted, that's the question.
And giving tax abatements for Raritan Cove, and if you're gonna give all these out tonight, how can you block giving tax abatements to 333 First Street?
Mike, I think that it was tabled because there was going to be more information that Councilwoman McNamara had
There's
requested.
2 types of abatements that we give Mr. Lane. One is on home improvements, and the other is on new construction.
Well,
It was submitted as new construction, and the documentation doesn't seem to support that.
oh, well, it wasn't new construction, it was a rehab.
Exactly.
That's why the
It was submitted as
question
new
came.
construction.
And, but I really encourage you to limit the tax abatements to upgrade of existing homes. And follow through on what you said you were going to do at the town hall meeting, your last meeting. Thank you.
That's our intention.
Yes, thank you. Anybody else? I can't see who's back there. Oh, Dan.
Hi, Daniel Fox, Fire Chief. I just have a question why the purchase of the car from Aberdeen just moved to payment, since we're in a contract with Aberdeen to buy that car.
Can I say anything, or should we discuss this
It
project?
just hasn't been signed off.
Yeah, the purchase order hasn't been signed off on, so we
From
can't
who?
approve it
From Aberdeen? Or from us?
here.
From us.
No. I was gonna say, I personally handed it to upstairs with a sign from Aberdeen.
Do we get to approve that too, or no?
I haven't signed off on it, Thomas has
But I'm
signed
saying, does council get to approve that at all?
on the bill, on the bill list.
Right, which is why it's pulled off.
What am I supposed to tell Aberdeen? It was on the agenda for tonight, they've been waiting months to get paid. They've been paying insurance on that car.
It was signed in 2 months ago that you guys were getting that car?
The PO's been signed for over a month from Aberdeen,
Not the PO, the
with
requisition.
the requisition.
The requisition was signed and then there was a meeting afterwards. We can discuss it tomorrow if you'd like.
I mean, Aberdeen keeps calling me about the payment. We're in a contract with them, so I don't know what. It's gonna hurt our relationship with Aberdeen if we don't fulfill our obligation to buy the car. Thank you.
Thank you. Ed?
Ed Carew, 64 Broadway. Resolution 178, the award of contract for Broadway sanitary system. I was just curious, if this is approved tonight, is there a timeline? I looked on the, approximately when did that start?
Do you have a timeline here? Oh, Trevor, forgot you're here. Yeah. Sorry, Trevor.
That's okay. So the county is going to be paving Broadway between Route 35 and the Matawan, actually at the Aberdeen border. So this is actually sanitary sewer improvements between 35 and the Aberdeen border. And we're going to get it done as soon as possible because the county is going to be in the fall to pave the road. So anticipation to get this done this summer.
Thank you. And being on the library board for a long time, I noticed that there is a new library board going to be appointed tonight. I was just curious who resigned. I looked in last meeting and I didn't see any resignation. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Elmer?
Elmer J. Graham Jr., 22 St. Peter's Place. Good evening, Madam Mayor, Borough Council, good evening, Chief, and Administrator. A few things. In regard to the tax abatements in our beautiful borough of Keyport, I think you all are handling it just right, and I think you all are doing a terrific job on that. It's nothing's perfect and stuff, and I just want to give you credit for that. A few other things. Tour 2024-178, can you all explain that?
That's the Broadway sanitary sewer that we just talked about. Trevor, do you wanna?
Sure. So because the county is going to be paving the roadway, it's a county road. We videotaped the sanitary sewer, and the DPW had a lot of breaks out there.
Okay.
It's a 6-inch main instead of an 8-inch main, so we're going to be upgrading the sanitary to meet current standards before the county paves the road.
Okay. And 2024-179, can you all explain that one?
That's the acquisition of recreation equipment.
Right.
For Beach Park, this is for the NPP grant.
Okay. And a couple of other things, 2024-188, what's that right there? Return unused technical review process fund. What's that all about? Whoever can explain it.
Michelle can actually
Michelle.
We have a technical review committee process that helps applicants with their planning board applications. And this applicant provided $1,000 for that review. And there's a remaining balance of about $448, I think, that he's going to be getting back.
Okay, and that's, of course, that'll benefit the taxpayers and stuff, right?
I'm
Yeah,
not
well,
sure.
okay. Okay, well, all right. And one last thing, 2024-197, I guess
That's more surplus
Yeah,
property.
surplus property, I guess we're gonna be selling that and stuff now. Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, Elmer. Anybody else?
Mr. Lee?
Mike, I made the comment before, if everybody can get all of their questions or comments together at one time. I'm gonna allow you to come up, but this is gonna be the last. Everybody gets 5 minutes, all together. Not 5 minutes every, you go back to sit down.
The agenda, my claim, fifth one first, the agenda doesn't limit it to 5 minutes. And
What is that, Missy?
The second part. We can change that, Mayor, if you like.
as long as I address issues on the agenda.
What is it?
Yes.
Okay.
You have a resolution, and I apologize, I'm a little slower with
Okay.
eyesight. 180, having to do with the beach park improvements.
Yeah.
And I just want to mention, and get Trevor here, that is a B zone, a B17 zone. The ground level is only about 7 feet. So in Sandy, we had 10 feet of water on that site. It picked up the pavilion and moved it all the way up to a drink at the Uptown Bar and Grill. Now, you're going to be putting a new pad in, and I've talked about it at the NPD. The new pad has to be glued down. You can't go wandering. And secondly, the playground equipment has to be designed for that environment and has to be certified. And I assume, Trevor, you'll do that as the floodplain development manager.
Yeah, well, we'll take a look at the design. The surface is actually the rubberized surface because we didn't want to put mulch out there because the mulch will pull it away. So the rubber surface is a hard surface and it's made for the flood zone area so that it's not going to move if it does get flooded.
But it's got to be glued down.
It will be glued down, yes.
Yes. But at Sandy, the amount of debris that was in our backyards was unbelievable. So we can't afford to have all this playground equipment being ripped off and causing problems in our homes. And so I assume you'll validate that it's capable of withstanding the storm surge and also the winds.
Yes, we will take a look at that.
Okay, and so you will issue a floodplain development permit then, as a result of your investigation?
If it's required by the ordinance, yes, we will need to do that.
Yes, it is required. My last item was minutes of meetings. Right now, we have no minutes of meetings, regular meetings for February, March, April, May, for February, March, and April. And who's responsible for generating these minutes?
Michelle is working on those with her deputy clerk, Amy. And Michelle, I think we have your March.
January 16th, February 6th, and March 9th.
But according to the agenda, they're only the workshop meetings. There's no regular meetings listed.
January 16th is the regular meeting.
There is one for January 16th.
Right, but there's no February, March, or
She's
April.
working on those. She should have them.
Okay, now, we roasted the KBBC on their failure to get their minutes out within 1 month after their meetings. What is the requirement?
She'll get them all caught up. She's working on them. Her and Amy are both working together, so they should have them caught up very soon.
How are we going to avoid this in the future?
Well, we were behind almost 2 years, right? Close to 2 years, so she was able to get most of them caught up, which is what she's working on. We were without a deputy clerk or someone to assist her. If you remember, she was working on her own. So I think she's done a pretty good job to try and get as many as she can put on there.
Well, to not have 4 available to the public is really short.
Yeah, she's getting them, Mike.
Diane? Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tim Sharp, 33 Pershing Place.
I didn't see you come through.
Anyway, Tim Sharp, 33 Pershing Place. It's not on the agenda, but somebody mentioned it in one of the reports, the shared services with Middletown, the court services. I know I think we had done
That we could talk at the second half,
Okay.
because it's not on the agenda.
Perfect.
Sorry,
Elmer J. Graham Jr., 22 St. Peter's Place. I wasn't about to come up here so soon, but when I heard Mr. Lane talk about the minutes and everything like that, I just had to come up here and say that under the, with regard of what Michelle's handling it and everything like that, I think she's doing a terrific job with what she has to work with and who's helping her and everything like that. She's doing a good job in regard to minutes and transparency. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, do you have a motion to close the public?
I'd like to talk.
Oh, I didn't see you, sorry, Chad.
Chad Simons, 29 West Front Street. I just had a question for you guys. Not to beat a dead horse or anything.
Wait, Chad, is there anything that's on the agenda?
Well, Mr. Pepperoni mentioned the 29 West Front Street.
So it's not on the agenda, that was a committee report, and not that I'm trying to be difficult, that's the second half.
Gotcha.
Right? And then we'll call you back up. Thank you. Do you have a motion to close the public?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve R 2024-162 through R 2024-201, tabling R 2024-174, and also for the criminal bills, R 24-166, on page 2, 24-00458.
Motion.
Remove, sorry, remove. The second one. Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Michelle? Melissa? And Steve was second. Michelle, would you?
Councilmember Brady?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember McNamara?
Yes.
Councilmember Pepperoni?
Yes.
Councilmember Riley?
Yes.
And Council President Vecchio?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have we have the public hearing adoption of ordinance. Michelle, will you read the ordinance by title?
The ordinance number 2024-02, an ordinance adopting amendments to Chapter 7 Traffic, Schedule 8 trucks over 4 tons and vehicles over the registered gross weight excluded.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to open to the public?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Do you have anyone from the public?
Robert Bergen, 16 Greenville Avenue. I know, Mayor, at the last meeting for the introduction, you abstained, or you got a conflict because you works at the site. I know you had a meeting with the property owner. Are you abstaining from this ordinance, or sitting down, or since we're having a public hearing on it?
Voting on it.
She's not voting on it.
Okay, so it's just, but why did you have to leave the meeting then last time when it was discussed?
It was in closed session, sir. We were talking about.
Okay. The question is, somebody trying to deal with this. We're talking about tractor trailers that you're still going to allow on Perry Street and Jackson Street from Cass Street off of 35 into this industrial site, which still has not gone before the board for planning board approval. But just taking that traffic going in, you have to realize you're looking to limit the traffic on those streets for certain hours and certain days. So you really should sit down and talk to your police chief, because just imagine the sign that you're going to have to put up. You're not allowing trucks to come in off of Beer Street that are over 8 tons, so that's gross vehicle weight of about 8,000 pounds. So it looks like you're trying to direct the traffic to come in off of Highway 35 to Cass Street to Jackson Street, then into Perry. Now, the video is a little bit too long, but the other morning I go that way to work for a lot of days, so I just happen to be out on the highway and I'm going up from 36 to 35. There's an articulated large trailer car with a bunch of cars on it. Obviously didn't know where he was going, blocked a lot of traffic. I said, you know, just follow this guy because I have a good feeling where he's going. So I can send you the videotape, but my IT guy told me I couldn't just put it in an email because it's too long. But the video will clearly show you, if you've gone up there, for any vehicle to make that turn from Cass Street onto Jackson Street, he clearly has to enter into full lane of traffic going in the opposite direction, head-on onto Jackson Street. So you're creating, in my opinion, a dangerous condition by permitting that to happen, because you're now going to have vehicles coming in. If somebody's coming up Jackson Street to get out of 35, he's going to be confronting a tractor trailer in front of him head-on. So I think I sent some emails out. I would urge the council to redirect and amend this ordinance so you don't let any vehicles over 8 tons come in off of your street. And then from Cass Street, they shouldn't be able to enter onto Jackson Street. So you can put up just 2 signs that say, one sign, no vehicles over 8 tons, and the other one you can put a sign that says, no vehicles over 26 foot in length or 26,000 pounds. Because I could send you the picture of the best tile truck. It's a 26-foot box truck. It's not an articulated tractor trailer. And we talked a lot about this in ordinance. Those articulated tractor trailers are only allowed in their special lanes on the turnpike, and you're having them drive down Perry Street. So just understand what's going to happen. Once you allow those tractor trailers to get on these local streets, exactly what I saw happen. Cars got to go all the way into the opposite lane of traffic on KS, almost into the building, and then come down the long direction of traffic on Jackson Street. So you're creating a very serious, dangerous situation there. But the same thing is going to happen. If you're going to let those tractor trailers get on Perry Street, some tractor trailer driver is going to come out of Perry Street after dropping his cars off. He's not going to be able to make the turn onto Jackson Street to get out to KS. And if he doesn't see a police officer, he's going to take a chance and do exactly what you changed in this ordinance that says no trucks to go down that street, Perry Street on the other side. So if you're going to go, once you let tractor trailers into those residential neighborhoods that you clearly do not have to do, you're creating a dangerous situation for traffic. It just does not work. And I could also send you the pictures to show you that on that west side of that industrial site, there's 2 bays right now that tractor trailers can come in off of Jackson, can come in off of Cass Street and turn right into that site. And on the western side of that property, if anybody bothers to drive down there, you'll see 2 loading bays right now that can handle tractor trailers. So you're not eliminating tractor trailers at all, but you're really making more sense. So I'd urge you to amend that ordinance, because once you're letting tractor trailers into these very local residential neighborhoods, and I don't know what kind of sign you're going to put up on Perry Street that says, for a tractor trailer guy that's coming, most of these cars, you understand, are coming from a sale in California, and that guy coming out of there is going to look at the signs and say, well, I can't go between this time of day and that time of day. Just makes no sense. You do not have to do it. The best tile truck is only 26,000 pounds. It's a 26-foot box truck. That's all that should be allowed into our local streets on Perry Street. I just recommend that you amend the ordinance to do that.
Thank you. Can I ask a question, Chief and Trevor? Chief, did you review the ordinance, or you didn't review it? You did?
I reviewed the email that I got yesterday, whenever I got the email.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Trevor, did you?
Yes, I did review the ordinance.
And agree, Trevor, right? The tractor trailers can't make that turn from Cass Street onto Jackson Street without clearly entering in the opposite lane of travel?
Okay. Next.
Because that's when I could just project it on there, and I could show you from my phone. I just happened to stumble on it, so.
Oops, sorry, sir. Anthony Garzon, 106 Perry Street. So I definitely want to hear about what side of Perry. Are we talking about going into the lot, or coming down past my house on the corner?
Trevor, can you answer that?
So they come off Cass Street, they make a left to go into
I'm not sure where 106 is.
So so if you go off of Cass, you make a left to go into the factory.
So you're coming from...
You make a highway, off the highway.
Off the highway.
Around Cass. Left is the parking lot, right is where I live, on the other end, 106 Perry.
Okay. Yeah, so currently the truck route is to continue on Cass Street, make the right onto Jackson, and then a left into Perry Street.
So they're not allowed to come down the other way then?
They're not allowed to go between Perry and Beaver Street.
Perry and Monroe?
And Perry between Jackson and Monroe is also restricted.
Okay. So as far as the tile truck and all that going, I've been there. I mean, Kim and I talked about it, 12, 15 trucks a day. When Nissan was there was never an issue, because those are professional drivers. These guys are schlubs. They don't know how to drive a truck. They hit everything, streets, it's a disaster. As far as the best tile truck, I do see them sometimes, but again, why it's not the best conducive thing, at least they're professional drivers. These guys that are driving these cars are a disaster. From hitting the guy's wall, to running people's bricks over, to running over our lawns, to having to back up to a stop sign. So once this ordinance passes, who is in charge of enforcing it? Because I've called the police, the chief told me to, and they have done an excellent job. But I've always thought when it comes to an ordinance, it was up to the town to enforce that. So I'm just confused on that.
No, the police would...
Because your comp's done a great job.
Our police would enforce anything that has to do with driving on the streets, breaking the law, that's basically, that's what she.
Okay, so once this is approved, you guys will. Because every time I call, they come, they handle it, they do a fantastic job. But I was led to believe that the township had to enforce the ordinance. Okay, I just wanted to know the call. Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Next.
I haven't, they've done a great job, thank you. Robert Bergen, 16 Green Around, just so that point, once those cars get down there and they stop at Cass Street, they're gonna cross your street again, because once they get down there, they're not gonna be able to get out, because they can't make that turn. That's the point I'm making. We should
Mr.
all be
Mayor,
careful.
are you coming up or to talk, or you're not?
I just did, I thought I just did.
Well,
Oh, I didn't?
I don't
Okay,
wanna-
John, you had your hand up?
Yeah.
John Merle, 34 Broad Street. The sad part is this ordinance wouldn't even be on the agenda if our zoning official knew what he was doing. And that's a shame that now there's controversy that we've never had before on that street. Neighbors in that area are disgruntled. And to be honest with you, from the beginning, the police should have been involved since there was massive complaints in that area. And it's sad because you're changing an ordinance now that was working. Here's a resident that just said he lives on that street, and it was working. And all of a sudden, it's not working now. And one person made that decision, and now 7 people have to try and correct it. And I'm going to be honest with you, we're not going to correct it. As much as you're going to try this ordinance, unless the police are there every day after you adopt this ordinance, unless the police put out the boards advising the public that this is going to be enforced, you can't do that. And you know what? We have better things to be worried about in town than that.
Thank you. Anthony?
Mayor? You got 2 minutes. 2 minutes left? She froze the time, she didn't start.
Well, Michelle has the time.
So, I came a few meetings ago, a while back, and I had spoke to you guys. I had pretty much forced the owner of that business to put a sign up underneath the stop sign that you guys had to take down. And when that sign was up, the trucks, the limited amount of trucks came down. There was a sign that just said no trucks this way straight. It just basically said no trucks straight, make a left or a right. The owner and I got into a debate, we'll say, and I forced him to put a sign up. And the trucks did stop coming down my street, not completely. And again, the cops can't be there all the time. They had 4,900 calls, they said. But when I do call, they do come and they do enforce it. Yeah.
So who put that sign up?
I made the owner of the chop shop put it up.
Okay, so that never went before the town?
No, you guys had to take
Why?
it down. No, they
All right.
didn't. But I mean, like I said, we had a debate and he chose to listen and put the sign up. And it worked pretty good, not great, but I understand it had to come down because it wasn't a township sign. So the sign definitely did work though. So, thank you.
Robert Bergen, 16 Greenville Avenue. Not to be the dead horse, but he just gave you evidence that tells you even when you put the sign up, it's not going to solve the problem.
Thank you.
It's never gonna solve it, but it helped.
No trucks. You don't let it down.
All right.
Please, it's easy.
Do we have a motion to close to the public?
Motion.
Second. All in favor? All right. Okay, do you have a motion to adopt the ordinance?
Motion.
Second.
Michelle, roll call please.
Councilmember Brady.
Abstain.
Councilmember Gross.
Yes.
Councilmember McNamara.
No.
Councilmember Pepperoni.
Yes.
Councilmember Riley.
Yes.
And Council President Vecchio.
Yes.
Thank you.
I see you looking, if you want to know why I abstained?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. No, I'm happy, I live around the block from you.
Yeah, I know, yeah, I figured that's what it was.
I'm right there with you.
Do you have a motion authorizing the clerk to publish the ordinance as adopted?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Michelle, the second ordinance, would you read the ordinance by title?
Ordinance number 2024-03, ordinance adopting amendments to Chapter 7A traffic schedules of Chapter 7 traffic.
Okay. Do we have a motion to open to the public?
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Anybody? Okay, do we have a motion to close to the public?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have a motion to adopt the ordinance?
Motion.
Second. Michelle, roll call please.
Councilmember Brady.
Yes.
Councilmember Gross.
Yes.
Councilmember McNamara.
Yes.
Councilmember Pepperoni.
Yes.
Councilmember Riley.
Yes.
Council President Vecchio.
Yes.
Thank you. Do we have a motion authorizing the clerk to publish ordinances?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Bill number 3, ordinance, 2024-04, would you read it by title, please?
This is ordinance number 2024-04, ordinance amending Chapter 24, Stormwater Management and Control of the Code of the Borough of Keyport and establishing tree removal and replacement requirements.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to open to the public?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do you have anyone from Ed?
I'd just like a clarification as to what that ordinance, is that for the general public? So if we want to chop down a tree, then we have to put a tree up?
Yeah, if you remove a tree, it's by state ordinance, am I correct?
State and DEP requirement.
So when one tree is taken down, another tree has to be put in, not in that same area, but it has to be on that property.
So how would that work? I mean, I'll just give an example. I have a tree that's ready to come down. I want to take it down because I think the next big windy storm is going to cause a problem for the properties. Now, on my property, I put trees up all the time, but without even taking them down. But what kind of a time frame do you have? Like, I haven't read the ordinance, so it's my bad.
Yeah, it's all set forth in the ordinance, and it depends on the type of tree. And then there's a time frame by which you can replace it in kind, or within, if there's a 12-month time period. It's all set forth in the
Okay,
ordinance.
how will the people of Keyport know this? Because is it going to be advertised in the?
Yes, it has to. These
I mean,
are
advertised in our
we can post it on the website.
website.
Yeah, but it has to be advertised in accordance with law for
Okay.
that purpose, so there is notice. I know not everyone probably reads
No,
the paper.
for sure.
We all miss those days, but we'll post it. It could be posted somewhere.
Okay, thank you.
And there are exceptions to it as well. Like in that case, I would assume that falls under hazard tree, and you're not required to replace it.
Correct.
You're not required to notify or to replace.
I still think it's good that you replace it. I mean, I'd rather see more trees go in than come down.
Agreed. You can take my copy if you like.
If you don't mind.
When we're done, yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna give it out, and I'll give it to you.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Mr. Bergen?
Robert Bergen, 16 Greenville Avenue. I just have a question. I didn't have a chance to read the ordinance either. Does it apply to the borough too? Really, my question is, when we designed Waterfront Park, there were certain trees that we put in. There were trees in the parking lot that came down, not replaced. And we'll talk about the rose bushes and the planters, but I just noticed the last couple of weeks, we had a very kind of special tree planted behind the one industrial building that has the huge bank of electrical meters on it because it grew fast, spread out kind of odd shape to kind of cover that big industrial building, and I just find out somebody went in and cut those all down. Who makes the determination as to which trees that the borough owns and at parks come down?
Well, that piece, was that behind that laundromat?
Yeah, right behind limits. So now when they go down there, I just see it just big, it was purposely to cover the back of that building, those
I
trees.
know, but the problem is, last year, we had a major run of poison ivy throughout those bushes. But those actually had to come down because there was a lot of rotted pieces underneath it. So that's why that came down, and we are looking for something else to put there, because we actually have Monmouth County inmates that have come out. They're starting to clean up all those rocks. Let's get all of that out, and then we can decide which.
I would just really encourage the council to go back and look, because everything that was planted in that waterfront park when we designed it was for that reason. Those trees grew low, they grew out fast, you may have to replace them. But a normal tree with a trunted tree, I really don't want to see a bank of electrical meters on the back of an industrial building. I think you should try to cover those up as quickly as you can.
Thank you. Anybody else? Elmer?
Elmer J. Graham Jr., 22 St. Peter's Place. I have a simple question regarding to this. Why do we need this ordinance in the first place?
It's a state law.
It's a state law that came out of Trenton. And the state legislature approved it, and we know, right?
When was this approved?
No,
It's been a while.
it was by state regs, the DEP. They have
The
the authority.
DEP, State Department of Environmental
Yeah,
Protection.
they have a huge building.
Under Commissioner Sean LaTourette, which I won't get into about him anyway. Just, why do we need, that's for the state, that's why have to do another state over regulation, but I won't get into anything about Commissioner LaTourette. I'll keep comments back into myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Norman. Anybody else?
Those
Mike?
babies have a
Mike?
I'll just give an example. I think you're aware that a very large number of trees were moved to Aero Marine in the last couple of months. Very large. And one of the reasons they were removed is because they seem to fall in the bay and come floating down. So is Aero Marine going to have to replace all those trees that you removed?
Hazard tree.
Pardon?
If it's falling down, I think it's a hazard.
Well, the ordinance isn't in effect right now.
Right, there's a,
The state requirement's not in effect?
Mike, part of the ordinance, the hazard tree means anything that has the infectious disease, insect infestation, is dead or dying, obstructs the view of traffic, signs, or the free passage of pedestrians or vehicles, where pruning attempts have been non-effective. Damage to structures such as building foundations or sidewalks, threat to public health, safety, or welfare by the licensed landscape architect. So, I don't know why those were taken in, were they, there are various reasons?
We don't have an ordinance in place right now for an application for tree removal, so it didn't come before us.
Okay, so we have this now in place.
It will be if
It
it
will be
passes.
if it gets adopted.
All right, so a developer who comes in and has a clear to put parking in the building, he'll have to figure out how to put the same number of trees back.
Or donate to a tree fund.
Or donate.
There's a whole bunch of conditions, Mike.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Anybody else? Mr. Bergen?
Again, I don't want to belabor it, but I got a little too far ahead of myself. So I guess my question is, those trees that were growing there seemed to me to be perfectly healthy, were beautiful trees last spring. Who makes the determination that those trees were dying?
Which, around the waterfront?
No, the ones behind the laundromat.
Well, we've been
Monmouth
out
County
there.
Shade Commission
So
came out.
they came in and said those trees were dying?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll be able to get this email from you this time, like that'll be an email?
I don't know if they had sent an email, but if they came out, they
Told
did
you those
come
trees
out.
were dying? Okay, so if I contact them, that's what they'll say? Okay.
One was hit by a car.
Thank you.
Hit by a car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else?
Wow.
Elmer?
For J. Graham Jr., 22 St. Peter's Place. I guess apparently by this ordinance, by command from the State Department of Environmental Protection and Commissioner LaTourette, I guess apparently he doesn't trust the towns and the boroughs to handle the environment as they see fit and everything like that. So I guess another regulation coming out of Trenton. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's so many exceptions.
Anthony?
My only question is, if it's a state regulation, why do we have to have an ordinance for it in the first place? Shouldn't you just follow the state regulation?
Because it needs to be handled locally. There needs to be a process locally.
Or shouldn't you just follow the state laws and rules?
Just so you know, like.
Just asking, I'm just...
Yeah, correct, and we still, the DEP sent a directive to all the towns with a draft draft ordinance, and asked everyone to incorporate this into their code.
Yeah.
So that gives you all notice too.
Thank
If you're doing a new construction, you have, go to the code book, you'll find the information.
Thank you.
We have a motion to close the
Motion.
public. Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, do we have a motion to adopt the ordinance?
Motion.
Second. Michelle, roll call please.
Councilmember Brady? Yes. Councilmember Gross?
Yes.
Councilmember McNamara?
Yes.
Councilmember Pepperoni?
Yes.
Councilmember Riley?
Yes.
Council President Vecchio?
Yes.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion authorizing the clerk to publish the ordinance as adopted?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
The fourth ordinance, 2024-05. Shall we read the ordinance by title?
Ordinance number 2024-05, an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank pursuant to NJSA 48:4-45.
Do you have a motion to open to the public?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, do we have a motion to close to the public?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt the ordinance?
Motion.
Oh, wait. Mike's there. Oh, oh, I can see Mike. I can't see Mike behind the bridge stuff. Well, we've got a motion already on the table. So we have to,
Keep going.
yeah, we have to keep going. Sorry, Mike, I can't.
Can we let them talk after?
Yeah, we can. Do we have a motion to adopt the ordinance? Oh, we did, sorry.
I have to make the motion to adopt. Make the motion to.
Wrong.
Oh, motion to adopt the ordinance, sorry.
I did the motion?
Yes, you
Yeah, I did.
Ron.
And there's a second.
I think Heather.
Heather and
Heather,
I.
Okay, and Michelle, the roll call, please.
Councilmember Brady. Yes. Councilmember Gross.
Yes.
Councilmember McNamara.
Yes.
Councilmember Pepperoni.
Yes.
Councilmember Riley.
Yes.
Council President Vecchio.
Yes.
Thank you. Do we have a motion authorizing the clerk to publish the ordinance as adopted?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? All in favor? Thank you. Okay, so I know Mike didn't have an opportunity to talk, so do we have a motion to open to the public?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Mike?
Mike Lane, 51 First Street, Keyport. How much would we have to reduce the budget or the appropriations by in order to avoid the cap problem?
Are you able to answer?
Yeah, this ordinance adds $90,000 to the appropriation cap, so you'd have to reduce the budget by about $90,000.
And so we got a budget that appropriations are going up about 7% year over year, and we couldn't.
Appropriations, I mean, the amount to be raised is going up about 6.8%.
Round number 7%.
So that's the amount to be raised, that's not the appropriations, because there's two sides. There's the revenues and the appropriations. But
Right.
anyway,
Yeah.
the budget is going up, but it is a very tight budget, and even with adding the 1% to the appropriation cap, we're just about $2,700 under that cap. So to avoid doing this, it would probably mean reducing services to the residents.
And how much do we have to cut it by?
$90,000.
$90,000. I want to ask what it costs to generate the resolution.
Thank you. Do you have a motion to close to the public?
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Okay, so now we're going to go into Michelle, the introduction of the ordinance, Chapter 2, Administration.
This is an ordinance to amend, revise, and supplement Chapter 2 of the Borough Code of Keyport entitled Administration, most notably Section 2-3 entitled Borough Officers, specifically 2-3.7 Borough Engineer, Section 2-3.9 Zoning Officer, Section 2-3.10 Code Enforcement Officer, Section 2-3.11 Acting Zoning Officer, and Section 2-3.12 Acting Code Enforcement Officer.
Thank you. We have a motion to introduce.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Brady.
Yes.
Councilmember Gross.
Yes.
Councilmember McNamara.
Yes.
Councilmember Pepperoni.
Yes.
Councilmember Riley.
Yes.
Council President Vecchio.
Yes.
Thank you. Do we have a motion authorizing the clerk to publish the ordinance as introduced in the Asbury Park Press for public hearing?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I only heard one aye.
Aye. This is
Sorry.
very loud. Aye.
All right. Thank you. Public hearing on the municipal budget. Michelle, will you read the bill?
Mayor, first you have to.
Oh, that's right, that's the budget. Resolution 2024-202 to read the 2024 municipal budget by title.
You have to make a motion to adopt the resolution.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt the resolution, sorry?
Motion. Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Brady?
Yes.
Councilmember Gross?
Yes.
Councilmember McNamara?
Yes.
Councilmember Pepperoni?
Yes.
Councilmember Riley?
Yes.
Council President Vecchio?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so the public hearing on the 2024 municipal budget. Michelle, will you read the title?
This is the municipal budget of the Borough of Keyport, County of Monmouth, New Jersey for the year 2024.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to open to the public?
Motion.
Mayor,
All in favor?
Aye.
I prepared a short summary for council and administration, if you'd like me to read that prior to the public hearing. Up to you guys.
We had a motion on the table, so
Okay.
so we can, Tom.
Good evening. Appropriation and levy cap compliance for the 2024 budget. The budget is in compliance with both the appropriation cap and levy cap. It is $2,700 under the appropriation cap and $576 under the 2% levy cap. So it was a very challenging budget to meet both of those standards. The budget structure, overall the budget is a fiscally sound and responsible plan. The budget contains no gimmicks or structural issues. The budget provides necessary funding for all municipal services at current staffing levels and for continued investment in the borough's equipment and infrastructure. The budget allows for the regeneration of surplus being utilized. The budget reflects the policies of the current administration and governing body, as well as those approved and put in place by prior administrations and governing bodies. On the revenue side, the borough is utilizing $850,000 in surplus to support the 2024 budget, which is the same amount that was utilized in 2023. The borough's surplus balance at 12/31/2023 is $1,025,000, which is slightly higher than the $1,017,000 at 12/31/22. It is important to maintain healthy reserves for cash flow, maintaining a strong bond rating and protection against economic downturns. State aid increased minimally for the second time in 15 years, from $719,000 to $722,000. Put that in perspective, in 2007, the borough was receiving $1,250,000 in state aid, which was cut in 2008, 2009, and 2010, down to $714,473, which we received for 12 years straight through 2022. So obviously, while the borough's costs have increased over the past 15 years, state aid has not grown along with it. On the appropriation side, some of the driving factors and highlights. Total operating appropriations exclusive of grants and library appropriations have increased by 3.93%, from $8.5 million to $8.2 million. Total budgeted salaries and wages, a component of operating expenses, has increased by $142,800, or 3.18%, from $4,496,000 in 2023 to $4,639,000 in 2024, due primarily to contractual obligations. Total other operating expenses and statutory expenses, exclusive of grants and library, have increased by 6%, or $289,000, from $4.8 million to $5,087,000. Some of the appropriations driving the increases in the other operating expenses are liability and workers' comp. Insurance appropriations have increased $32,000. Group health insurance increase of $150,400, due primarily to premium increases and a increase in our roster. The pension system contributions has increased by 10.77%, or $76,357, from $709,000 to $785,000, and our garbage removal contract costs have increased by $27,000. The pension contributions, just so you know, they're actuarially based and calculated and billed to the borough by the state of New Jersey based upon the borough's pensionable salaries. These three appropriations increases total $285,000, which account for almost all of the total increases in operating expenses. All other expense budgets have in total been held the same as the prior year. Debt service has decreased by $61,000 from 2023 to 2024. Permanent debt service requirements will go down by $45,000 in 2025, and total debt service, however, will be affected by current year debt authorizations. And the borough continues to aggressively amortize its debt. The amount to be raised by taxation in the budget, exclusive of the library tax levy, will increase by 6.8% from $8,103,719 to $8,654,731. This will result in a reduction in the municipal tax rate of 2.3 cents per $100 in assessed valuation, going from 78.7 cents in 2023 to 76.4 cents in 2024. So although the amount to be raised by taxation is increasing, the tax rate is going to decrease due to an increase in the borough's net valuation taxable. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions from the governing body before we actually open to the public? Do you have a motion to open to the public? Thanks.
No.
We have one. We do. Motion to open to the public we have, so.
Motion.
Anthony?
Yes or no? I don't want to vote.
Yes, come on.
Follow that the tax rate went down by 2 cents.
The tax rate, if this budget is adopted, will go down by 2.3 cents.
And that's due to, is that due to all the new construction and the new housing that came in? Because it increased the evaluation of our town?
A portion of it's due to new assessments, but a majority of it is due to an increase in the assessments that are currently in place. So in Monmouth County, New Jersey, every property gets reassessed annually, unlike most counties in New Jersey where they have to wait to do a full revaluation. The assessor here and in almost all towns in Monmouth County reassess annually. So we have an increase in the assessed values annually. For instance, our assessed values, or the borough's assessed values, went from $1,029,000,000 in 2023 to $1,133,000,000 in 2024.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Burden?
Mike, let me go before you. Only have a couple of quick questions this late. I don't want to get to all the numbers. So that's what I wanted to hit on, Tom, because you didn't announce that in the beginning. What's the increase in the net value assessment for, and what percentage of that is existing homes?
I do not have the number of existing homes, but I'm guessing that it's probably,
90%?
yeah, I was going to say 80 to 90. Yeah, that would be.
What's the percentage increase in the net value taxation for just this year?
The percentage increase, well, it's going from $1,029,000,000 to $1 billion. Yeah.
It's probably small given the billion number.
No, I'll give it to you. It's 10%.
10%, just 1 year. So the assessment on most houses went up 10% just this year.
Again, they're all going to be different, as you know.
I know, it's an average.
Yeah, so the assessed values went up 10%. An increase, in an average residential. An average residential property went from $390 to $418. That's if you took all of our residential properties and divided it by the number of line items. That's what you get.
Just the assessments went up on average 10%. One of the other questions that I had, we bounced off that number a little bit. Have you ever do any analysis to find out what percentage increase is for commercial properties versus residential properties? Is there a trend that's showing that residential properties are increasing much more than the commercial properties?
I don't have the information with me, honestly.
So that's really the driving force. The driving force in the reduction is the net increase in ratables, right?
I believe the ratables for the residential are growing more quickly as percentage than the commercial.
It's really over the last couple of years gone crazy. The other quick question I had is, what's the percentage increase in our state health benefits plan? Health benefits that you're talking about?
The percentage, the premium, about 7%.
Only question, does anybody look to move us from the state health benefits plan? Because I can tell you, it's amazing. You know, at one time, where I worked, we were facing a 16% increase, and we just simply said we're going to move, and they reduced that percentage by 10% without even asking for anything more. Now, much bigger town than you are here, but we looked, who's trying to talk with the state health benefits plan and say, maybe we'll move?
Yes, we actually do have somebody that's a health benefit manager who does do that analysis for us, yes.
So did we tell the state that we might move if they increased our rates by 7% this year?
Yes.
And what did they say? No?
They're increasing our rates by 7% this year.
Just a couple of quick questions. I know when you introduced the budget, you said here tonight, this reflects the policies of the council. I've been to, just starting like last year, a number of council meetings, and I've never really heard the budget discussed, and as a committee, so I'm just trying to find out, like, what are the three big policies that the council has that you're trying to incorporate in terms of this budget, and how does that get analyzed? Because you have a council that's kind of split here, so I'm trying to figure out how everybody gets in and has a say in what that policy is going to be for the budget.
What I simply mean by that is that it reflects policies of the current administration as well as prior administrations. For instance, we're paying debt service that was approved by prior administration. We're paying salaries that were either approved by prior administrations or this administration. This administration, you know, can reduce employees if they would like. So again,
Most of those are fixed costs we're talking about, that's what.
yes, it is. That's
I
correct.
just want to make sure that the council is setting policy. And you raised one thing, are we increasing, so why did you said our health insurance went up because of increase in, you know, what do you call membership? If we didn't increase employees, people have 80s, is that really what the increase is?
Yes, that got married, as well as maybe was waiving and then now had come onto the policy. So, yeah, so our roster has increased. And you know, a couple of people on the roster can be $60,000, $70,000.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So then the other question, you said the debt service is going down, so it's always been a good plan that we always talk about for debt service, but you said it could be affected by this year's debt service. Do you have an anticipated amount that the borough's looking to borrow this year? How do you factor that in your budget these days?
Yeah,
It's been a long time since I've been here.
And you read, as you know, we've always aggressively amortized our debt. We you know, issue debt, but don't go out a long term with it. The last issue that we did was we got 0.9% on, you know, a 10-year bond. So yeah, it was right before rates started flying up. So the debt that we currently have is just in notes. It's not an awful lot, but yeah, the current year debt, to the extent that I have to issue a note this year, depending on when those projects get on the ground, it could affect next year's, but only to the extent of the interest and maybe a little bit of principal. So you're talking, you know, probably about the $40,000, $50,000 that we're going to save in our permanent debt service.
You know, a lot of people around the state, what are, do you have any idea what the notes are going for these days?
Yeah, they're 3.5% to 4% now.
Versus what they were 5 years ago, probably less than 1%?
I was getting 0.25%, yeah.
Right, then the only last question that I had is we're talking about, how do you figure out, where's the money set aside? I know you have the Brit account. What's the budget set aside this year for improvements to Waterfront Park, or just, you know, making sure it stays up to the level that it's at now? It obviously needs some improvements. We've taken out a lot of, you know, trees or other things that need to be done. Is there some number that the council has in mind as to what they want to do to spend to keep Waterfront Park from continuing to degrade?
Well, we did receive some grant money that we're going to be working on for Fireman's Park.
Yeah, that's for the new bulkhead. I'm talking about the existing, what we have down there.
What's Waterfront? Waterfront is what he's talking about. No, as you're driving around the waterfront where the old bulkhead used to be.
Oh, the trees.
Yeah, we took the trees behind the laundromat out.
There's no real, so really, hasn't been really a meeting to talk about what we probably really need to do to improve Waterfront Park?
No.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Mike? I see your hand.
Mike Lane, 51 First Street, Freeport. I sent out an email that analyzed what the percentage increase in the tax levy is this year, which is, and I think you mentioned it, Tom, 6.7%. And over the last 5 years, the budget's been up 40+%. Should I feel good about that? Well, a couple things. Homeowners in Keyport or in the county, they get their property reassessed every year. Every year I see an increase in my tax bill. Whereas apartment dwellers, the apartment owner has to weigh increasing the rents against his occupancy level. And so there's a balance there. There's no balance for the homeowner. We take it full on. The businesses in the downtown they get assessed on the profit of their businesses. They don't get assessed on the value of the land and the value of the building that they built. So this burden of huge increase, I expect my tax bill this year will be going up around 7, hopefully no more than 7%. And it's already gone up 40% in the last 5 years. And will have gone up 40% in the last 5 years. So how does this compare with other towns? Tom, do you deal with
Well,
any
Tom
other
was
towns?
just gonna speak on.
Well, what I could say is, yeah, and that is a 6-year period, and I can tell you that has been a difficult 6-year period. The costs have been increasing. The administration and council has, increased staffing in areas. So the last 6 years has been a difficult 6 years. But I did see your email, and I went back over the last 15 years, and we've done a pretty good job over the last 15 years if you were to spread it out. We're a little over 3% per year on the municipal side. So that gives you a little bit of comfort. But what I can say is that, the budget's tight, and the administration and council, they work hard to keep your taxes as low as possible. But I am in agreement with you. The last 6 years have been tough on the spending side.
I have property in Middletown and I have property in Manawan, and I don't see this kind of level of increase. So is our town unique in this situation?
You can look back at the last 6 budgets and you see where the increases are.
I'm talking about the overall percentage being up in the last 5 years, 40%.
I would have to review those towns for you.
You don't have any comparison? Okay.
No, I do not.
I think the council should look
I live
into
in
that.
Middletown. I do live in Middletown, and my taxes have went up quite a bit.
Not 40% though, in the last 5 years.
They went up a lot, this current year alone, yeah,
This current.
a lot.
I won't ask you.
But I can also sell it for more money, so.
I won't ask you what a lot is. Now, when I looked at the budget, I didn't see any revenue line for the new cannabis operations in town.
Yeah, I noticed that also, Pam. We haven't received
You
any.
know what? Honestly, I did not know that was opening until I heard it through the grapevine. And I have contacted them. I'm responsible for collecting that 2% tax, so we will be getting that. And hopefully that can help regenerate the surplus that we're utilizing, and it'll help us in next year's budget.
And it's gonna be a separate line item.
Yes, it will next year. This year it'll come in as what we call miscellaneous revenue not anticipated, Mike. It's separately accounted for, and any of that revenue goes to generate surplus.
So we will be able to track it?
Absolutely will be tracked, yes.
On the miscellaneous revenue. All right. I was also surprised to see that the revenues from the pilot programs has been reduced year over year. Why is that?
Yeah, the pilot programs from Bethany Manor, there's a little bit of a disagreement on the calculation, and that's currently with our conflict attorney's special counsel. So we're hoping that that number will increase, but under state budget law, we can only anticipate what we received last year. So we're hoping we're going to get more, and it's currently being discussed between attorneys.
The sheet number 10 shows a reduction of about $160,000 in the pilot. That's not a small issue.
No.
So why did we reduce it?
We did not. There's a disagreement on the calculation. We just can't take the money out of the bank account. They have to pay it to us.
The sheet says that the revenue is down $160,000.
Yep. The anticipated revenue from 23 to 24 is down.
Yes.
And again, we're working to, settle the disagreement and hopefully recoup that.
So how will that be reported?
It's going through attorney right now.
On sheet number 40, there's a pedestrian safety improvement program. Is that any way related to the First Street crosswalks, etc.?
Yeah, I believe that is we discussed that one, that is the First Street Crosswalk project.
So that's a 5-year program, and in addition to getting the crosswalks, will we get that nice little thing that we're going to get on Broadway when you press the button that flashes and warns the cars?
Broad Street.
The pedestrian.
Was it Broad Street?
Yeah. Broad Street.
Are we going to get one of those?
Which intersection is Broad Street at?
Well, the really challenging one is the one in front of the yacht club, where we have a lot of young kids, and also down at Prospect, where the kids cross the street to go to the park. So we definitely need it in a couple places. So you did a lot of markouts, a lot of work was done, but when I walk down the streets, the markouts have all been wiped out, been worn off. Where are we in this program?
Well, this isn't only about the budget. I know that he's asking you some engineering questions. Mike, do you have any questions for Tom for the budget?
Well, my question for Tom is, what is the pedestrian safety improvement program that's in the budget?
So that project is in the budget, so I think the engineer was...
That's a 2016 TAP project.
Pardon?
That is a 2016 TAP project.
Yeah, I remember working to get that grant.
Yeah.
2016, how many years later are we?
That's
All
how
we've got
slow they are.
is a few white paint
Yes,
marks.
I can just elaborate on that. That is a federal grant, and anytime you have a federal grant, it takes additional time for the DOT to review it and approve it. The final plans are with the DOT, so we're hoping that it's going to be out to bid this summer.
Out to bid this summer, that would be fantastic. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mike. Anybody else? Alma?
J. Graham Jr., 22 St. Peter's Place. When I've heard about this budget tonight, considering what you had to work with, I think you all did a terrific job in adopting the budget and everything like that, and I think it'll save tax. It'll be beneficial to the taxpayers at Keyport. And considering the constraints that were placed on you all by the state of New Jersey again, by the governor and the legislature down there in Trenton, you ought to, as far as the budget goes, especially their budget of $56 billion down there in Trenton, you know, you ought to point your budget out as an example to Trenton as far as spending goes and stuff like that, especially, like I said, with this $56 billion budget, state budget proposed by the governor, which I think is ridiculous. Thank you.
Thank you, Alma. Anybody else? Mr. Bergen?
Just one quick one, only because I want to steal this water bottle because I had a steroid shot today for poison ivy, not very good. So just one last thing, you're right, so unlike your water. Unlike 2008, 2009, 2010, we haven't seen a decrease in our state since state aid since those years, right?
No.
Like the level for the last 15 years, right?
From 2010 right up to last year was the same.
That'd be nice, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else? There's a motion.
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Resolution 2024-203, self-examination of the budget. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second. Michelle, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brady? Yes. Councilmember Bruce?
Yes.
Councilmember McNamara?
Yes.
Councilmember Pepperoni?
Yes.
Councilmember Riley?
Yes.
Council President Beckius?
Yes.
Thank you.
Resolution R 2024-204, adoption of the 2024 municipal budget. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Michelle, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brady?
Yes.
Councilmember Gross?
Yes.
Councilmember McNamara?
Yes.
Councilmember Pepperoni?
Yes.
Councilmember Riley?
Yes.
And Council President Beckius?
Yes.
Thank you.
Approval of minutes, January 16, 2024, February 6, 2024, March 5, 2024. Reports, municipal clerk's report, April 2024. Oh, that's, we didn't miss
I
that.
apologize.
That's all right. Do we have a motion for the approval of the minutes?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, reports. Municipal clerk's report, April 2024. Tax, water, sewer collectors report, April 2024. Board of Health treasurer's report, April 2024. Building department report, April 2024. Municipal court report, April 2024. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we're going to open to the public. Do we have a motion?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody? Change?
George Wallingford, 42nd Street. Can I get a status update on 125 Highway 35?
Kim, do you have that?
Eleanor? Want to help me out, buddy?
What?
Oh, I thought maybe you might know.
No.
Anybody?
No. I said
Do
Kim.
you want me?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I said. I thought you heard me.
No. Right now, the construction official and the borough attorney are working on the issue that we have there.
How much money is outstanding on that?
I'm not sure the fine, I don't know what the fine is right now, standing.
Well,
She doesn't have it in
What-
front of her.
if
yeah,
you want,
no,
you
I
can
under-
email
I
me.
understand that, but if there's a fine, have we gone in before the judge? In Keyport.
That's what we are working on right now, which is,
There might be some violations that are out there.
I'm sorry?
I said there might be some violations out there, but it hasn't gone before the judge yet.
it has not gone before the judge.
This is dated back to like November of last year.
Thank you.
Okay.
We do
how
have
about-
that on our radar, and we have been working.
Pardon me?
We do have that on the radar, and we are working through it. That's why we have our attorney involved in it too.
Okay. Like I said, when I opened everything, I pointed out to you guys that Mr. Falco fell asleep on that one. No replication for him either. How about an update on 31 West Front Street?
We're actually gonna have Trevor speak on that. Or do you want to do it now? 29,
Sure.
31?
So we met with the building owners last week of number, keep it in the numbers confused, but 29 is
Where the
where
wall
collapsed.
collapsed.
So 29 reached out to an insurance company. The insurance company hired an engineer to do a third-party engineering review of the building. Their engineer was out there on May 9th, I believe, and they said within about 2 weeks, they would have the report back to the property owner. We have not seen that report yet, so I'm assuming that the property has not received that report. We did meet with the tenants. The tenants obviously are not allowed back in the building at this time due to the fact that the building owner is waiting for the structural report to come back on the entire building. And basically until we get that report back, they're not going to be allowed back into the building.
And what about the construction work? Is that,
The construction work for 31 West Front is, they have the footing and foundation permit, that is ongoing. They'll be submitting, I think they've already submitted for their permit to continue construction going up from the footing and foundation. There's a number of items that are required to be submitted for that, which the developer is currently working on, so they won't get their permit to go up from where they are now until they meet all the checklist requirements at the construction code to build up from basically the point that they're at.
okay. My understanding was that they weren't allowed to do any work at all until they had all the permits in place. That was to the prior engineer we had.
So they have a demolition permit and they have a footing and foundation permit that was issued with the demolition permit. So what they have now is covered under the footing and foundation permit.
Which is as far as they can go.
As far as they can go until they get,
Right,
but now they're up 2 stories.
I'm sorry.
So right now they're up 2 stories and they have another 4 stories to go
Right.
up.
But my understanding was, and there was the prior engineering firm that we had, he said no work would be done until all the permits were in place.
They have
Are
the
there any
permit.
that they have?
Yeah, there are other ones that they have to come before the board for.
Yeah, they don't have their full permits.
The only thing they
They only
have.
have
But
a
they
demolition
have
for the
everything they
footing and
needed
foundation.
for now.
For the footing and foundation, yes, that permit was issued.
Right.
What he's trying to say is.
And I understand that
how
right
you-
now they have 2 levels there, floors.
Correct.
Which is the footing and foundation.
That's considered footing
Yes,
foundation?
that is a footing and
Okay.
foundation, yes.
All right.
Yeah, under the permit that they have,
Yeah,
that's a footing and foundation.
all right.
To basically get them up to the sidewalk level, which I believe is where they are right now on Front Street.
Right. How do I find out what the old engineer said that meeting that night?
I guess we'd have to find the meeting minutes that it was from.
Is there any way we can do like a Google search or whatever? I think it was Derek, Johnson?
Derek?
Yeah, it was
From
Derek.
Collins,
Earlier.
Derek from
Yeah,
Collins.
yeah.
Derek was earlier.
All right, well, can I reach out to him? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, George. Anybody else? Mike? Oh, sorry, Tim, I didn't see you until. Oh, never
Robert
mind,
Bergen,
Mike.
16
Mr.
Green Drive.
Bergen's coming up.
I just want to stay on that since we're here. You know, I've read a lot of engineering reports, Trevor, as you know, in my day. And I saw a statement by the attorney on News 12 that it's perfectly safe for everybody to go down there. So here's really my question. I guess you can answer, right? Buildings, walls don't fall down unless they're, you know, improperly constructed, bad workmanship, bad materials, or poorly designed. And I read these several line letters that we got that I guess our powers that be determine that's a report. My question is, why don't we, I still can't see in any report what caused the collapse. So before we go on and make a determination that there's not a safety or a problem there, shouldn't we be able to tell exactly what caused that collapse?
So I'm anticipating this report that we're getting from the owner of 29 West Front Street.
That's his. I'm talking about the guy, the building who was doing the building. We have 2 letters from this engineer. They're about 3 sentences long. Nor do they say they're within a reasonable degree of engineering certainty, but none of them address what caused the problem. Shouldn't it be, by now, tell me, shouldn't we know what at least somebody, at least that developer's engineer believes caused the failure, so we make sure it doesn't happen again?
I think, we know based on the scene out there that day, if they're pouring concrete between the buildings. We all know that's by the wall.
And so normally we put concrete, there's a form, right? So our construction department must approve those forms Unless there's no forms, then the form is gonna be the walls of two buildings.
The separation between the two buildings is about 6 inches.
So that's-
Those are the forms.
So that's what determined to be the form. So if that's one wall, if that form is not solid anymore, then that's really what caused the collapse, right? And concrete expands when you pour it, so.
I don't know what caused the collapse, I just know that they were pouring concrete the day that
Well, you just hit the point, that's the point. And you should know as an engineer what caused it, because collapse is caused for 3 reasons. Either poor workmanship, well, take out a tornado, you got poor workmanship, poor material, or poor design. Let me just jump, I want to get back on the Perry Street. I've been here, quite some time. We talked about the illegal junkyard down on Perry Street that we've allowed to continue. So my real question is, in this town, how, and this is, I don't know, I think the last approval or denial from the zoning officers from back in August of last year. How long do we allow somebody to work and expand on that property, which now they're doing for the additional loading zones, without requiring them to come for site plan approval? Just because if your zoning officer doesn't tell somebody they have to go for site plan approval, is it the view of this council that the borough can do nothing to force them to come? And regardless of whether it's legal or not, clearly you have pavement within 50 feet of the property line, which we discussed, and the administrator told me when it first came out, it's because the DEP ordered them to do that. Well, I demonstrated to you from emails from the DEP that's not the case. So somebody has paved, done all these improvements, requiring site plan approval, whether his use is legal or not, and we're here a year later, and you haven't taken any action to force him to come before your planning board, so the people in his neighborhood, my neighborhood, everybody can come and see what we're doing. So my question is, what have we done to require him to come in for site plan approval? And if he still refuses to do it, what's the plan? Or is there no plan?
I don't think it's fair to say there's no plan, Mr. Bergen. I think the
Oh, he
council
written-
has taken action, right? We've had a number of communications with the
Number of
directors.
communications, so just letters back and forth. Have you issued a letter as the borough attorney directing him to come before the planning board pursuant to
Not
the
me,
zoning
the
ordinance
borough
that he was
attorney, the
not?
zoning-
It's an easy answer, it's just a question. Have you sent the letter demanding that he
Mr.
come for
Bergen,
site
I'm
plan
not
approval?
gonna, I'm not gonna
Okay.
have an issue, but you are aware of the letters that have been issued.
No, I haven't. I haven't seen any letters issued.
I thought they've been opened. No?
I'm not sure what the last.
Okay, there have been letters issued and directing him to have a planning board, come before the planning board.
Okay, what was the
Look
last
at
time
these
that letter,
letters.
what was the date of that letter?
I don't have it off the top of my head.
Roughly, what month?
I don't know.
You don't even know what month you issued the letter?
No, I don't, Mr. Bergen. I want to be accurate with you, so I don't have that
I
in my...
don't need to be that accurate. Was it in the summer? Was it in the summer?
No,
Was it more than 3 months? More than 3 months ago?
Thank you, Mr. Bergen.
Okay.
We know your point here is just to argue, not...
No, not your point. The point,
that
I'm trying to fix this for the neighbors. You have an illegal
I
junkyard,
think
so
it's
let's all
unfair,
wake up.
and it's-
Pretty
Mr.
soon they're gonna be
Bergen,
electric.
It's unfair for you to come here and accuse
No, it's
this
not
council
unfair.
of
No, it's not
When
unfair.
you know the law and you know the processes, it's unfair for you to come here and accuse them of not being responsive to your concerns, when they've been really quite responsive to your concerns and the concerns of the neighbors being affected. They have been. And they're trying to do everything in their power to address the concerns as you bring them.
So you have an illegal junkyard that hasn't come for site plan approval for over a year, is expanding the use on that site, and you tell me that we've done all that we can do. Well, I'm telling you, in my opinion, we haven't done all we can do.
That's
And you
your
can't even
opinion.
tell me where he hasn't got a stop work
I
order.
can't tell you what
Until-
date letters are. That's correct.
Well, I'm only asking the season. Was it in the summertime?
She doesn't have that in
Okay,
front
all
of
right,
her.
we know which one. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just got to do one follow-up, I'm sorry. George Wallace, 42nd Street. According to our resolution and the developer's agreement for 31 West Front Street, number 19, I think I sent that to you. What weight does that carry?
It carries weight when we would need to seek reimbursement from the developer for any fees the borough incurs.
I thought it was very clear, though, that it was stated that he would, during demolition and also construction, have the safety of both property owners on both sides.
When we're aware, I don't know if it says about the property owners on both sides. It says something like that in the planning board documents.
Right, in the resolution
Yeah.
from the planning board, yes.
Yeah. And we brought that to the attention of all the professionals who are working on this, including myself. And we'll take any and all actions we need to if we do under those terms.
I guess it would be a legal question then. How do we go with a resolution that states very clearly what they are supposed to do
prior to all these moves.
That's when you would have your code enforcement officials go
I'm
out.
not a big fan of his.
But that's what, but
That's
that's
just my
what,
2 cents.
thank you, but that's what we would do. And like I said, Mr. Wong, we were all aware of it, I mean, we were aware of it, but I appreciate you sending it really nice and highlighted. And it was shared by the professionals, and we're aware of it, and we'll take any and all actions we need to ensure
Okay.
that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Tim, I know you wanted to come.
Yeah, I have to change the subject, so if they want to stay on this.
No, you can come up. That's good. I don't want to forget about you because I can't see you behind Jojo.
You would be. Tim Sharp, 33 Pershing Place. So getting back to comments made prior to the consent agenda, some of his report regarding shared services Middletown. I'm sure it's probably maybe discussed before, I haven't heard it. I know we tried that once before. I think it was a failure, and I'm just wondering, looking back at what we did, the contract, or if we're talking about the court services, I think we did that with Haslett in the past. And people were not happy. I think it was a burden to the police officers, the businesses in town, just people would come here and whatnot. So I'm wondering if we're looking at lessons learned, if it's a done deal, where we are with that, and that kind of thing. So
It is almost a done deal. Pretty much, the building, we actually have to do some work in this building. So we need to give our police department some room to the side. And we actually, you haven't seen our judges' chambers, but it's pretty much a mess. From the leaking on the facade from the outside and no flashing and everything else that involved this building. So basically, we actually have to have a room for a judge. He has to have his own entrance. He has to be able to come through the back. So we are going to do this for a period of time. Hopefully, we'll get the building, back where it needs to be.
So this is a temporary measure, is that?
Right now, it's temporary. I can't tell you if it's, in the future.
Is
I don't know how long it's going to take.
Do we know, are there any, do we take any different steps, I guess, to ease the burden on the officers and, whatever? I just thought it was a failure. I don't know all the details as to why that was up.
This is different than Hazlet though, right?
Hazlet was a joint board.
Yes, so we're thinking that maybe that.
This is
was part of
the
the
shared service. We are keeping our judge and whatever professionals it is that we decide to keep.
And they've
Middletown will
taken more
assist
into
with
it.
the security for the court. Our officers will have to drop off.
I just know Hazlitt's right there, now we're going even further to Middletown. So, just a concern.
We went to some surrounding areas
Yeah.
and, we went to Hazlet. Hazlet was not interested in shared service with us. Matawan and
Probably just
Aberdeen
last time,
are
right?
combined together. Well, they're not in for anybody.
Right.
Matawan and Aberdeen are combined together already. And when their fee came in, their fee was a lot more, if I'm not mistaken, than Middletown. And Middletown's where we started, with the questioning of would they be interested, and they are interested.
So it's really not a measure to save costs per se?
It's not to
really
save
get our-
cost, it's really because we do need to have this building done. It's been leaking for I don't know how many years.
Right.
But it did save us.
But it does save us on top of it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
At this time.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mike?
Mike Lane, 51 First Street, Newport. Regarding 31 West Front, the applicant's architect and experts said that they could insert this new building between the two existing buildings without causing any side effects, any significant problems. Then they came along, they poured a foundation, they built a wall for their new building up parallel to the old building. But there was probably a foot or so space between the new wall and the 100-year-old building wall. And so during in my memory, the discussion was, well, how are we going to keep stuff from falling down between the two walls? And I'm not sure that at the planning board hearing, they said they were going to pour concrete between the two walls. Do you know if they were? Was that part of the plan?
I was not on the planning board, so I don't know what was discussed in the planning board.
Yeah, there was discussion of how to bridge the roofs, so, because if you go downtown, the old buildings, multiple of the buildings have spaces between the old walls filled with garbage. And so what caused the collapse was the immense weight of the concrete that was poured. Can you imagine 15 feet of concrete between the old wall and the new wall, the amount of pressure that would put on the old wall? It just blew it out. So we know what happened.
And it expands, Mike.
Pardon?
And the concrete expands.
But it was blown out while they were just pouring the concrete. And it was wet concrete. Wet concrete flooded the floor. It wasn't drying. They were pouring it when it collapsed.
Right, I think I indicated before that, yes, they're pouring concrete when the wall collapsed, yes.
Right. And so it wasn't expanding due to drying. It was the weight of the concrete, the wet concrete, against the old wall. And
Now, I'm not denying that. I don't know exactly why the wall collapsed, but they were pouring concrete when the wall collapsed.
well, I asked you to look at the original plans. Did the plans approve pouring concrete between the old wall and the new wall? Was that part of the plan?
That I don't know.
Well, we should find out, shouldn't we?
Well, Mike, just so that you know, we're waiting for the engineer report from 29 to come to us. Trevor is really not the engineer for that project. So what happens is the fee, he actually has a fee that's coming before the borough if we want to contract him to do that, which is probably close to $20,000 at this time. So that would be a burden on a taxpayer also to pay that, because what would happen is if it was another building, the same situation, Chad, I know you're shaking your head, but I'm just letting you know what would happen. So if Trevor has to do it, there's about $20,000 for him to do the report for the borough. Now, I know, one second, Chad, I see it. So it's not that we don't care, I'm just letting you know this is where we're at right now. We're waiting for 29's engineering report to come in, which is due 8 to 10 days, which should be sometime this week.
Yeah, and basically, he's probably going to say the building's got to come down.
But we don't know, so, and
Wow.
Trevor will see that when.
My experience will say it.
Okay.
I'll be very surprised if it doesn't say the building. And it's probably impacted the building next to 29 because the joists are tied into the wall. When they drop, the end that's tied into the wall.
Well, I know they're just looking in the rear of the building, there is a gap between number 29 and the next building, so
Yeah.
they're not, there are spaces between each of the buildings.
That one's
And
not fully
that's
attached.
why I'm wondering whether the planning board ever approved pouring concrete between the two walls, since all those buildings down there have spaces between the walls.
I mean, typically, the planning board does not get into the construction documents. The construction documents get prepared after the planning board approval, and that's when the documents go to the construction code for review. So I don't think the planning board would have seen that much detail that there's going to be concrete poured between the two buildings.
Wow.
That was part of the remedy though, right?
1 second, Chad, if you want to come up after he's done.
Okay. I have a question about enforcement. And the planning board puts together a set of conditions of approval. But we're not following up on those conditions of approval. When the planning board gets through and the information goes to the construction office, is a checklist created to validate all the conditions of approval? I'll give you an example. And it's an ongoing set of conditions. Browns Point Marina, there's a condition of approval that there shall not be boats or boat trailers parked in the parking lot after May 15th. If you go down to that site, there's more than a dozen trailers and boats, taking up about 40% of the parking lot. Where is the checklist and where is the enforcement process?
Can you check on that, Kim? Because I did see that also. And actually, it was brought up by another resident tonight also, so it's 2 residents that I see.
I'll give you another example. The 25 East Front, when Stitch built that building, there was a requirement that he have a stormwater pump to keep the water from running out onto East Front Street. How many years? 20 years, we still don't. Then when the townhouses were built, that same requirement, right, Trevor? Stormwater pump. We still have no stormwater pump. Where's the checklist? Where's the enforcement? The planning board writes these conditions of approval. They're listed. What process is there in the construction office to follow up on that checklist and to review it periodically, especially when there's dates? It says on this date, on this date, and this date, it needs to go into a calendar on the computer. It's a process missing.
Mayor, just so you know, I've actually met with Trevor about this issue, and we're reviewing the checklist and the process that's happening from the time it goes from land use or planning zoning and moving over to the construction department, and we're actually working on it right now. Not saying that they don't have a checklist, but we're going to be taking a look and analyzing how to make it stronger.
Kim, that's great. We need for every planning board approval where there's a condition of approvals, the checklist to validate, but not only just when the construction is taking place, but when there's dates that it's on such and such a date, certain things will happen. The same issue, I won't talk about the planning board. I'm sorry, the Keyport Yacht Club, but it's the same issue. There's dates, certain things have to happen. And we don't have a process right now that follows up on those dates. So I look forward to hearing that we've implemented that.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Is that the 5-minute time frame? Is that what that was?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't even know what that was.
Implemented and then another
All right,
day.
thank you. All right. Okay, anybody else? Tad.
I just would like to address you, addressing me with my head shaking back there. So in the builders agreement, you said, well, you mentioned that,
The
Trevor.
developers agreement,
The developers
you're saying?
agreement, yes. You mentioned that, it would cost, about $20,000 for Trevor.
We're waiting.
So in the developers agreement, there's, wording in there that says that anything that they did that would cause them to have excess charges could be taken from the developer.
To that effect, I just want to let you know, I've said that probably 15 times in the
Yeah.
past 2 weeks, that this shouldn't ever be a taxpayer burden to look at the mistakes and whatever happens
And
over 30
it's written in the developer.
That's why we have the developers agreement, and that's why we were sending a letter to the developer, which still hasn't happened. So,
Vicky's going to speak on this.
okay, well, I wanted to speak my piece as well.
Which is fine.
Yes, so, we're waiting on getting some reports, and I have a letter drafted in case I have to send it off to say that the borough is incurring low costs. Do I anticipate pushback if we go down that road? We could.
Of course.
So, but we're in a position to do what we need to do if we have to do it. But there's no guarantees. It's not as if someone's gonna write a check.
And it's not saying we're not doing it.
Yeah, they're doing everything.
Which is why we
We're
had to
looking
get
at all
the quote from
options.
him too. because it
But
has to be
hopefully,
posted.
you know, there'll be more, more guidance based on the additional reports anticipated.
Right. But in that builders, it is a contract that calls for stuff like this
And they
that
might push-
could possibly be
Are they gonna say
out of
that
their
their
reserves.
report covers it? Is that what the issue is?
I don't know what they're gonna say, but I would do the best I could based on the information we have to present our best case possible.
Another question I have for you is, how does the borough classify what happened to our building?
What do you mean?
Like, how is it classified? Like, an incident happened to our building, like, what do you guys classify that as?
How did it come out? Like, I'm not understanding. Like, is it, you're asking
you
what
know,
they.
Property
put-
owner had
Is
a
it
building
car
wall
accident?
collapse.
Is it, like what would you guys get, is it, you know, like just a block that fell down? Like, what?
No, it's
what do you
definitely not a block. I mean, I walked over there
No,
to see.
So-
I think Trevor and I, it's a wall failure.
A wall failure. Okay, so how would you describe what a building collapse is?
So the question, what is the difference between a wall collapse and a building collapse? Is that the question?
Well, just to read to you guys. So the definition of a building collapse is the sudden structural failing, partially or entirely, of a building, threatening human life and health, when internal load-bearing structural elements fail, and a building will collapse into itself and exterior walls pulled into the falling structure. So you guys are saying wall collapse, but in essence, it's a building collapse. So I'm not here to, whatever happened to our businesses or whatever is fine, but what could happen to the people that were there that day is pretty detrimental. So I would really like to see the borough, because the builder that's building and all the buildings that are happening in town, come up with some sort of protocol on what would happen in a situation like this. Because right now, the police weren't called for 2 weeks. Nobody even knew about it. And when we had the meeting the other day, Trevor, you mentioned to me, well, there's no casualties. Does somebody have to die to have?
Trevor said that's why, he said it was a standard, it was unique for our town, but it wasn't unique for other places where they have had building or wall failures, and that when a wall fails, if they know no one was in the building, they wouldn't necessarily call the police.
But how did they know?
They sent the UCC officer out there.
Is he an emergency response person?
We probably shouldn't get into this
Yeah.
conversation because obviously your subject matter expert is here as well.
Oh, absolutely,
Or
but I was
the
in a
police
meeting
should
with
have been
Chad
called or
when this
not.
was
So
told to
I
Chad.
feel like, I feel like this is not
Okay.
probably appropriate for us to go back and forth with.
Well, that's just one of the things I feel that in the future, there should be some sort of protocol or something that you guys can, make the towns safer for everybody, and maybe a little bit more communication, so it doesn't all, happen the way that this happened.
Thank you, Chad. John?
Robert Bergen, 16 Greenville Avenue, North Belabor, but since we're getting some information.
Okay, I'm gonna let everybody know, you can roll your eyes at me, I'm just letting you know that it's 5 minutes per person. It's not 5 minutes coming up
I
here every few minutes.
don't, I don't think I spoke more than 5 minutes. I'm pretty quick in the time that I speak.
But I
speak
asked
before
everybody
courts all the
to
time, and I know what the
I
time
asked
is.
to please
Okay.
get all your questions together, didn't I?
Well, I know what you asked, Mayor, but understand something. I'm here when people get up and talk about a particular subject. I'm going to talk about that subject at the same time if I have questions. It makes no sense for me to stop and come back 15 minutes and get back on the same topic. It only wastes time. And every council member can answer any question that they want. They don't have to keep just...
They can ask
Okay,
whatever
so
they
just
want.
that question, I'm just trying to understand from what I heard tonight. I'm sorry I missed the last meeting. But just so the review of the construction departments, when you say there's approvals for forms and for foundation forms, all of the approvals for required of pouring that concrete were in place at the time it was poured by the construction department. Is that what you understand?
I'm saying that they have a footing and a demolition, a footing and foundation permit from the construction office. Correct.
And then, I'm kind of confused about the police department. Was the construction official called when the building failed?
Yes.
Okay. So that's all I really have to say.
If I may.
And there's no, wait, one second, and there's no stop work order right now? There's no stop work order on the site?
No, OSHA came, so that everybody knows, OSHA came out. We also had DCA come out. We had Department of Labor come out, and the UCC was out there. And they all found that the building can continue. There were minor violations, nothing.
So there were minor violations?
There were, like a hard hat not being worn.
So, Trevor, I have a question for you. You mentioned that they have a permit for, what was it for?
For a footing and, it's a footing and foundation.
Right, and the
Along with
meeting-
the demolition permit.
Right, and in the meeting we were at, you said that they were allowed to come up to street level because that's why they didn't have scaffolding and netting. Is that correct?
Yeah, because they can't put the scaffolding and netting up until they get above the buildings that are next to them.
Correct. Okay, and then like I said, you said it was street level. If you look at their building now, they're well above street level.
In the back, yes.
In the, yeah, and above street, if you go to the front, you can see it's above street level also. Has anybody addressed that? Or are they up to that? Is it in their permit to be up there?
In their permit, whatever, if it's street level or above street level, their permit that they have now allows them to build to that level. Yes.
Last one, are they going to be required to put netting and stuff around our property by where we are in the back? Because that wall right now is probably about 20 feet and there's still nothing there.
So we're going to be getting a plan from their architect that shows all the netting and they call them the sheds that they're going to put up to collect the debris. Once we get that, we'll review it and make sure that it's in accordance with all codes and UCC requirements.
Thank you. John?
John Morello, 34 Broad Street. I'm glad you addressed the potholes tonight, Mayor, because, you know, with graduation coming up, Jackson Street is always a problem around graduation, and there's all going to be kids going, you know, and parents walking that street, and that we should take care of that to make sure before graduation that all the potholes are huge over there. I mean, I wish there was a better decorative cone than an orange cone in Keyport, because we could use them. There's a lot out there, and it's a shame. It really is a shame, because that just didn't happen this past year. There's no way. That they've been coming and coming. Well, I'm on that subject, and Trevor's here. I have reported in previous meetings about the condition of Church Street. For a newly constructed street, I'm sorry, that street's a mess. And now there's all gas markouts. Are they digging that street up again?
So there was a request from the, I forget the street address, they subdivided the property, and the gas company was going to disconnect the service, but we made them disconnect it behind the sidewalk. So we denied the little permit.
But Trevor, those sidewalks, that concrete shouldn't be scaling after a year.
So we actually have a meeting with the contractor on Friday to go over the concrete issues.
Right, because I mean, you know, we went through it with Division Street. That's a lot of money that the borough's investing in these streets and roads. And truthfully, once you start, that's where your potholes come from. Little 3x3 openings that are never sealed to its original, you know, use. And I think it looks like I've seen scaling, I've seen aprons. That's why.
Aprons are cracking up.
Yeah, and that's why sometimes you can't piecemeal a job. I'd rather the towns don't do it. And when I say piecemeal, taking one section of concrete and leaving one section. If the expansion joint doesn't meet the concrete, water gets in there, it scales, it lifts, and it deteriorates. You've seen it on Kearny Street, Mayor. And the other thing on my list is, I was an advocate to get 162 2nd Street down after many, many years, the old coat factory. I'm sorry I fought for that. That place is a mess.
Yeah, downtown.
Did you get that email today?
No, I didn't get it.
We went out, we're working on it.
I hope
It's
so.
horrible. I mean, the neighbors shouldn't.
I mean, you demo it down, and they didn't even grade it.
What was it?
162 2nd
The
Street, old coat factory.
Yeah, they took it down, and it's pretty much been a mess since they took it down. They've done nothing.
And I might be in a minority on this one, but I just want to applaud the council for doing your due diligence with the budget. Budgets are very hard and very tedious, and you have somebody on your team that you should all be very proud of, because I know when he was hired, he took this job very serious, and 20 years later, he still takes it very serious. 26? 30. 30. 30. I remember when you walked through the door.
It was August of '94.
I remember it well then. But Tom, we appreciate it. You might not hear it enough. And Chief, we appreciate what you do and your department, and especially, you know, it's a lot, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
How old were you then, Tom?
Pardon?
1994, I can't remember back then.
I was 25.
Yeah, I was probably 30.
Hi everyone, Carl Anthony Pena, 260 Raritan Boulevard, Clifford Beach. This meeting is being live streamed as sort of a bridge for citizens that otherwise can't make it. So I'm just going to share a bit of information. We had a peak attendance of 40 citizens and an average of 15 that stayed through the whole meeting. Most of the questions and concerns were touched on, with the biggest one surrounding what's going on with businesses. And the pressing question here, they are asking if any plan is being implemented, whether from the borough or the developer in question, regarding some sort of relief for the businesses during their busiest season.
Okay, just so everybody knows, the KBBC is starting a GoFundMe page, and we're shooting for $75,000 for the businesses as a total. It could go more, you know, that we could do a separate fundraiser, but we are trying something. The KBBC, we would have had it set up, but you have to set up a special bank account for that, because it has to come in and go back out of that account. So we are setting up a special bank account just for that, and maybe keep it alive for, God forbid, there's another, you know, mishap within the borough. So we are trying that.
Thank you.
And if this doesn't make enough, we'll do some fundraisers or see if the businesses will do some. Elmer? The state has to.
Elmer J. Graham Jr., 22.
One second, Elmer, what is it?
And also, the state has been reaching out to provide whatever assistance they can provide, as well as I know the businesses have been in communication with them. So hopefully there's some help there.
Elmer J. Graham Jr., 22 St. Peter's Place. I'm glad to hear that the GoFundMe has been set up for the businesses now.
Well, it's getting set up.
It's getting set up. Is that going to be on the KBBC's website and
Yes.
stuff for
Yes,
other businesses down
We'll
there?
post it wherever we can. Maybe we can make some flyers also to put in the businesses, maybe with the QR code, hopefully.
Yes, and they do need the help. And as far as what went on down there in West Front Street there, you all are on top of it. I mean, mayor and the council, they're on top of this, and they're trying to get this fixed and everything like that. So, you know, so let's just back them, and they're trying to help out there. You all are doing a terrific job in that regard. And I'm glad, like I said, I'm glad the GoFundMe is being set up for those businesses and those homeowners down there. They need the help. They definitely do. They're a beautiful borough of Keyboard. Anyway, see, I had to say that about Keyboard. Anyway, a couple of other things. I'm going to pitch this again. As you all know, I go to We Care Adult Care in Red Bank. I help them out. They help me out twice a week. And any Keyport resident that's a caregiver who needs a loved one to go there, that's the place to go to. We Care Adult Care in Red Bank. They have a Facebook page there, and their staff is outstanding, and I highly recommend them. And another thing I also want to talk about is the American Legion Post 23. Any veteran here in Keyport who desires to join, we meet first Thursday of every month, 7:30. And like I said, it's American Legion Post 23, and it's for any honorably discharged veteran and everything like that. They're a great organization too, as the chief will attest. Thank you. And by the way, outstanding job in the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody? Okay, do we have a motion to close?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
I want to wish everybody a happy and safe Memorial Day weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.